Now, though, to a director that I'm kind of getting sick of at this point in time, and I've been very patient with this director, and that director is Zack Snyder, because the Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, I think it comes out, or it's out in cinemas now in limited theatrical release, obviously. And I think it comes out tomorrow or the next day. Yeah, tomorrow for us in New Zealand, and obviously tomorrow for the rest of the world as well. And yeah, that has 25% on Rotten Tomatoes. 25%, man. I don't know. I can't remember a movie where I saw that low recently. That's very low. And on 76 reviews, it's substantial enough to know that this movie is not going to be good. And it's just another Zack Snyder movie that is failing. The critics don't buy it yet again. And what does he say? Well, he has said that the director's cut for Rebel Moon Part 1 is a completely different movie. And that's, indicating that it's better and stuff like that. But I did want to bring this into our podcast here because, and I got into a little few debates on Twitter about it, but I was just like thinking, there is a serious problem if the director's cut is a completely different movie to the standard cut. Because I think about stuff like Lord of the Rings, theatrical and extended. The extended complements the theatrical. The director's cut should complement the theatrical cut. What do you think about this? And is the director's cut kind of like a scapegoat for Snyder?
I think it's an excuse for any director that has directed a shit movie. Zack Snyder has done a lot of them. David Ayer is the other one where he was like, "Oh, my vision." And with David Ayer, you can sort of get it because that first trailer we saw and the second trailer we saw is two completely different.
He's
tones.
still complaining about that, by the way.
I know.
Shut up. Not him. Yeah.
Yeah. But for David Ayer's case, I can get it because we had two evidences where like the product was completely different from what we saw in that first trailer and, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he's still hyping on about it, just get over it.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder, I mean, how many hours do you need to take, Snyder fans? I mean, he's just taken L after L after L. His most recent fresh movie was Army of the Dead or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like low 60s or mid 60s.
Yeah.
Everything else was just rotten. So your boy ain't good. The only thing he's good in is visual effects. So accept it and get over it. But I don't. It's Netflix that's just doing this.
Distributing it.
That is very surprising because Netflix usually gives their directors free range.
Yeah.
So why would there be a director cut if Netflix is like, do whatever you want?
Yeah, and Netflix seemed like the company that would allow like a kind of a popular director like Zack Snyder just to have free reign, do what you need to do, and we'll back it up financially. It doesn't make sense to me. And I think and I don't know if it's Snyder's fault. Maybe Netflix coming in and being like, this isn't a good product for our thing. But they're still committed to a director's cut. Like full visual effects, full everything. And it just doesn't make sense. And so when you make a bad movie, you can't just be like, okay, well, my director's cut's coming out and you might like that a little bit better. Okay, sure. But the theatrical cut's still bad. It doesn't take away from that. And if you can't make a movie in 2 hours and 15 minute work, then you got to do something else. You got to change it up.
Yeah, I think the thing about director's cut is that it's an extension of the product. So you touched upon it before. You said Lord of the Rings. There's also other examples. You got Donnie Darko. You got Apocalypse Now as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all fantastic movies theatrically, and then the director's cuts just touches it, like complements it a bit more and fleshes out a bit more. Yeah. It's not like a entirely different story or vision.
Yeah. There's something that's going wrong here, and I don't know if it's on the Netflix side. I don't know if it's Zack Snyder's side. But
Zack Snyder's side.
Snyder fanboys, you guys and your copium to try and deal with the fact that Snyder is not a very good director is starting to get on my nerves. If this director's cut doesn't come out, I swear to God, man, I cannot take another few years of release the Snyder cut. I will end myself. I can't do it.
You already got the Snyder cut. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's just they are probably the worst fandom out there because they're just so intense. And Like, I know they want good things for their director, but I do think they hold on to this false belief that Zack Snyder is a great director, but studios are fucking him over. He's been with multiple studios now. I don't know if it's them. It might be him.
I think that it rings true. Netflix is probably only one of the main studios that allow free range.
Yeah.
And the fact that this stuff is happening, I don't think it's a studio.
Yeah, because Netflix want to attract talent and high-profile directors like Zack Snyder. And those directors, and I assume Zack Snyder would have been like, okay, yeah, I'll come and make movies for your studio if you give me full creative control. And he would have agreed to that, and Netflix would have agreed to that. So I don't know what's happening here. But yeah, let's wait for Rebel Moon Part 2. I'm not going to say he's a completely incompetent director, but it is starting to irk me a little bit now. Well, let's wait for Rebel Moon Part 2. I don't care about director's cut anymore, Mr. Snyder. I don't care. All right, just make a good theatrical film, and then your director's cut can make it better. Just make a good film first. And then we'll wait for Part 2. And if Part 2 is bad, like that 25% mark again, I think he's washed. He's done.
In that Ridley Scott and Taika sort of conversation?
Yeah, he's in that for the one who's just kind of, lost it. He can't make good stuff. You can't trust him to make good stuff. I think he'll be in that category.
But he does make visually fantastic stuff.
That is true. And you'll love to know this information. A lot of the reactions I saw was just hating on the slow-mo that's constantly overdone in the film. And I know how much you hate slow-mo.
I am not watching Rebel Moon.
I sort of know why you don't like slow-motion movies.
I just don't like it.
Do you like it when it's used well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it was used well in 300, but then there's stuff where it's just overused, constantly. You're just bro, just let it fucking play out.
Yeah. There are some moments where it's slow motion, and I'm like, I'd just rather watch this in fast speed. Yeah.
Stuff like Quicksilver, that's good in slow motion because it applies to the character as well.
If you saw that in fast, that wouldn't make sense. Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on now to kind of